Most women assume that when a man misses them, he will show it clearly, text more, call more, chase more, or openly express it. But the truth is far more complicated. Men rarely reveal their feelings directly, especially when they care deeply. Instead, when a man secretly misses you, he sends signals so subtle, so quiet, and so easy to overlook that most women don't even realize what's happening. He hides behind logic. He masks emotion with distraction. He pretends he's fine because men are raised to believe that vulnerability is weakness. But a man's silence is never empty. And when he misses you, it fills with behaviors he can't control, even if he tries. Men miss differently than women. Women express, men suppress. Women reach out, men hold back until they feel safe. Women question, men withdraw into their minds, searching for clarity. So when he secretly misses you, he won't make it obvious. Instead, his feelings leak out in 3 silent signals. Signals you must understand if you want to know the truth behind his distance, his hesitation, and his emotional shifts. Because here's the reality no one tells women. When a man misses you, his ego battles his heart. His heart wants to reach out, but his ego fears rejection. His heart wants connection, but his pride wants protection. His heart wants closeness, but his mind warns him to stay still until he knows you feel something too. This inner conflict creates subtle behaviors that reveal exactly what's happening beneath his calm exterior. You'll see shifts in his attention, his consistency, his communication patterns, and even the way he looks at you. Most women interpret these shifts as mixed signals, confusion, or emotional distance. But in reality, they are the soft, unspoken signs of a man trying to feel close to you without exposing himself emotionally. When a man misses you, he becomes more curious about your life, but he tries to hide it. When a man misses you, he tries to create small moments of connection, but he frames them as coincidence. When a man misses you, he watches you more closely, not because he doubts you, but because he feels drawn to your presence in ways he cannot explain. These are not random behaviors. They are psychological fingerprints of his emotional attachment. He may not have the words, the courage, or the emotional training to express what he feels, but his actions will whisper the truth. All you need is the ability to decode the signals. Once you understand the way men show longing, quietly, subtly, and almost invisibly, you will never misread his behavior again. You'll see the signs before he says a single word. You'll understand his energy even when his mouth stays silent, and you'll know exactly where he stands, even if he tries to hide it from himself. If you're ready to discover the 3 silent signals men send when they secretly miss you, let's begin. Signal number 1. His attention returns, even if his words don't. When a man secretly misses you, the first silent signal he sends is through his attention, not his words. Men rarely verbalize longing. Instead, they redirect their focus toward the woman they miss in ways that seem small, subtle, and sometimes confusing. This return of attention is not loud or dramatic. It's quiet, indirect, and intentional, because men test the emotional intimacy before they reveal it. Even when he doesn't text you or express himself openly, you'll notice his presence shifting back toward you. He becomes more aware of your updates, more in tune with your routines, and more sensitive to your emotional tone. Men are deeply visual and observant, so when he misses you, his attention gravitates to you naturally, even when he tries to appear unaffected. He'll check your online activity more often, watch your stories quickly, or linger longer on your posts. These aren't accidents. They are micro-displays of emotional pull. This attention shift happens because missing someone disrupts a man's mental equilibrium. Even if he tries to distract himself, his thoughts drift back to you. He wonders how you are. He wonders what you're doing. He wonders if you're thinking about him too. Men don't process emotions through talking. They process them through monitoring the environment for emotional cues. and you are the environment he keeps returning to. But here's the part most women overlook. Men become more attentive before they become more communicative. His attention returns first because it feels safer. It allows him to reconnect without risking rejection. If he reaches out and you seem distant, he would feel exposed. But if he simply observes, he can gauge whether the emotional door is still open without committing to vulnerability. His attention also sharpens during interactions. He listens more carefully. He notices details he previously overlooked. He becomes more responsive to your moods, even if he doesn't comment on them. This heightened awareness is a direct reflection of how his emotions are resurfacing. When a man misses you, he pays attention to things that don't normally register: your silence, your tone, your reactions, your distance. Because he is trying to understand his place in your life again, even if he doesn't have the courage to ask. Another subtle shift occurs in how he behaves around you in person. He may hover near you without approaching, position himself where he can see you, or engage lightly in conversation while hiding the depth of his interest. Men do this when they feel something but want to protect themselves. His presence becomes a quiet request for emotional proximity. This signal is easy to miss because it doesn't look like longing. It looks like caution. But the truth is simple. Men don't give attention to women they've emotionally detached from. When his focus returns to you, even in silence, it's the first sign his heart has begun circling back. He may not say he misses you, but his attention reveals the truth he won't admit. Signal number 2. He creates quiet opportunities to be near you. When a man secretly misses you, he won't always reach out directly, and he won't suddenly confess his feelings. Instead, he begins creating quiet, almost invisible opportunities to be near you, physically, emotionally, or digitally. These subtle attempts to place himself back in your orbit are not random. They are deliberate, instinctive, and deeply revealing, because men do not gravitate toward environments that don't emotionally matter to them. His presence is the second silent signal that he misses you more than he will ever say. Men are strategic when it comes to vulnerability. Instead of chasing, they position themselves. Instead of confessing, they test the emotional temperature. So when he misses you, he starts showing up in the places where he knows he might cross paths with you. This could mean appearing at social gatherings you might attend, becoming more active in shared group chats, or finding reasons to interact casually without making it obvious. He wants proximity, but he also wants to protect his pride, so he creates situations where connection can happen naturally. This behavior is rooted in something deep within male psychology. Men feel safer expressing emotion through action rather than words. By placing himself near you, he reduces the emotional distance without risking direct rejection. He's hoping to feel your presence again, to read your energy, to see whether you're still open to him. And he does all of this without saying a single thing. It's a quiet plea for closeness, wrapped in a disguise of coincidence. You may also notice he becomes more responsive than usual. He replies faster. He joins conversations he previously ignored. He reacts to things you share or comments you make online. These aren't attempts to win you back. They're attempts to reconnect with your world. Even something as simple as him showing up more consistently in your digital space is a sign of emotional longing. Men don't monitor spaces that don't matter to them. They invest time where their heart is unsettled. Another version of this signal is when he tries to create opportunities for small interactions. Maybe he asks a casual favor. Maybe he shares something he just thought you'd like. Maybe he brings up an inside joke or a shared memory. These little openings are invitations for you to step toward him if you choose to. They are bridges he builds when words feel too risky and vulnerability too exposed. Even in group settings, his behavior changes. He may sit closer to you, angle his body toward you, or find reasons to engage you in the smallest ways. He does this because physical proximity gives him the emotional reassurance he lacks internally. Men feel connection through presence. When he misses you, being near you, even from a distance, calms the tension inside him. The key is this: men do not accidentally orbit women they've detached from. If he keeps showing up, online, in conversations, in physical spaces, it's because he feels the pull. He wants to reconnect, but he wants to do it without losing his dignity. So he signals it through presence, not confession. He won't say he misses you, but he'll show up exactly where he knows you are, hoping you notice what he can't verbalize. Signal number 3. He tries to reopen emotional doors without looking vulnerable. The third silent signal that a man secretly misses you is the most revealing and the easiest to misunderstand. When men long for someone but fear being emotionally exposed, they don't communicate their feelings directly. Instead, they begin reopening emotional doors in subtle, guarded ways. These attempts are not dramatic, and they're rarely straightforward. He will test the emotional waters with soft invitations, indirect questions, gentle conversations, or sudden warmth that seems to appear out of nowhere. This is his heart searching for connection, while his ego tries to protect him from rejection. A man who misses you won't lead with vulnerability. He leads with safe emotional openings. He may ask how you've been, but in a casual tone, as if he's not deeply invested in your answer. He might bring up something you once shared, a memory, a song, an inside joke, not because he's nostalgic, but because he wants to re-establish emotional familiarity. These small openings help him measure your interest without giving away how much he actually feels. He also begins showing micro-expressions of care again. He might check up on you indirectly, comment on your well-being, or show sudden concern for something happening in your life. Even if the conversations are short, the underlying intention is clear. He wants emotional closeness, but he wants it on a path that feels safe for him to walk. Men miss quietly, but they reconnect intentionally. Another sign is when he shifts from short, surface-level communication to deeper, more meaningful exchanges. He might ask about your day with more sincerity. He may share personal updates he wouldn't normally volunteer. He might talk about things he's been thinking or struggling with. This is not random. Men only open up emotionally to women they trust and care about, especially when they miss the intimacy you once shared. These deeper conversations are his way of stepping back into emotional connection while still maintaining a protective shell. You may also notice him testing your interest through light vulnerability. For example, he might mention that he hasn't been sleeping well, that work has been stressful, or that something reminded him of you. These statements are coded signals. They reveal his emotional state without exposing his full vulnerability. He wants to see whether you still care, whether you will respond with empathy, and whether the emotional door he cracked open is safe to step through. Even his tone changes when he secretly misses you. The dryness fades. The neutrality softens. There's more warmth, more attentiveness, more presence in his words, even if he keeps the conversation short. Men communicate longing through emotional tone far more than through emotional language. But perhaps the strongest version of this signal is when a man starts showing consistency again. When he checks in regularly, maintains conversations, or tries to stay connected in small but steady ways, he is quietly telling you that he values the bond. Men do not invest emotional energy into women they are indifferent about. His effort, even if minimal, speaks volumes. This is the paradox of male longing. He misses you deeply, but he approaches slowly. He wants closeness, but he fears vulnerability. He opens the emotional door just enough for you to step through, if you choose to. A man may never say, "I miss you," but these silent attempts to reconnect reveal the truth he hides behind his strength. Signal number 4. Why men hide these signals, even when they miss you deeply. To truly understand these quiet signals, you have to understand something about men that most women are never taught. Men feel deeply, but they reveal slowly. Their emotional world moves beneath the surface, like currents you can't see, but can absolutely feel once you know where to look. And when a man misses you, he doesn't hide these signals because he doesn't care. He hides them because the fear of emotional exposure is far more intense for him than you may realize. From a young age, men are conditioned to believe that showing vulnerability is dangerous. They're taught that emotions make them weak, that expressing affection makes them needy, and that caring too openly makes them easy to hurt. So even when he misses you intensely, his first instinct is not to reach out, but to protect himself. Missing you activates both desire and fear. The desire to reconnect, and the fear of being rejected, misunderstood, or emotionally exposed. This internal conflict is why his signals appear indirect. He wants to move toward you, but he wants to do it in a way that doesn't damage his pride or put his heart at risk. He's trying to balance emotion with control, longing with caution. His behavior becomes a negotiation between his heart and his ego, two forces pulling him in opposite directions. His heart wants connection. His ego wants safety. His heart wants to confess. His ego whispers that confession is dangerous. This tug-of-war explains why he shows up inconsistently when he misses you. Some days he watches your stories instantly, engages warmly, or creates small opportunities to interact. Other days he pulls back again, wrestling with the vulnerability that connection requires. This inconsistency isn't a lack of interest. It's emotional self-defense. He's trying to manage feelings he hasn't fully processed. Another reason men hide these signals is because they fear misinterpretation. If he reaches out and you seem distant, he will immediately assume he misread the situation. Men take rejection far harder than women because they internalize it quietly. It doesn't just sting, it destabilizes their sense of worth. So instead of risking a clear rejection, he expresses his longing through small, safe gestures that allow him to retreat if necessary. Men also hide their signals because emotional clarity takes longer for them to reach. While women often understand their feelings in real time, men uncover their emotions gradually. They need space, silence, and reflection to fully understand what they feel. Missing you might hit him instantly, but admitting it to himself takes time. And admitting it to you takes even longer. Deep down, he hides his signals because he hopes you'll understand without him having to expose himself completely. He hopes you'll notice the shift in his attention, the subtle softness in his tone, the quiet attempts to reconnect. These are his ways of saying, "I'm still here," without saying, "I'm afraid of losing you." When a man hides his feelings, it's not because he lacks emotion, it's because he's overwhelmed by it. Understanding this allows you to see the truth beneath the silence. Men don't miss loudly. They miss quietly, deeply, and sincerely. And decoding these signals is the key to understanding his heart. Signal number 5. How his silence turns into the strongest sign of all. One of the biggest misconceptions women have about men is believing that silence means disinterest. In reality, a man's silence is often the loudest emotional signal he sends, especially when he secretly misses you. Men do not respond to longing the way women do. When a woman misses someone, she usually wants closeness, communication, and reassurance. But when a man misses someone, he often withdraws into introspection, self-control, and emotional processing. His silence is not emptiness, it is pressure building beneath the surface. Men fall for women in two worlds, the outer world of action and the inner world of reflection. When a man goes silent, he is not disconnecting from you. He is connecting with his own emotions in ways he rarely does. This silence becomes the space where he analyzes how much he cares, how much he risks, and how deeply he feels. He replays old conversations. He thinks about the moments you shared. He wonders what you meant by certain words or expressions. Silence becomes the place where his emotions finally have room to speak to him. This is why his silence stretches at times. Men do not process emotion quickly or verbally. They process internally, privately, slowly. A man's silence is his emotional laboratory. It is where he tests his fears, examines his attachment, and confronts the vulnerability he would rather avoid. And here's the truth. A man who doesn't miss you remains emotionally stable. But a man who misses you becomes unsettled internally, even if his exterior seems calm. His silence also carries weight because it battles with his desire to reach out. You may not see it, but every day he holds himself back from contacting you is a day he spent thinking about you. If he felt nothing, reaching out wouldn't matter. The only reason he hesitates is because he cares about the outcome. He doesn't want to overstep. He doesn't want to appear weak. He doesn't want to risk rejection again. His silence is the tug of war between his longing and his pride. Another powerful element of a man's silence is that it reveals his emotional honesty. Men do not go quiet for women they have no connection with. They go quiet when the connection is affecting them more than they know how to handle. Silence helps him regulate his emotions, regain his confidence, and decide how to move toward you without appearing needy or desperate. But the most important part of this silent signal is the shift in his behavior when the silence ends. If he returns, reaches out, softens, or becomes more emotionally available, it means his time in silence clarified his feelings. Silence is a man's emotional filter. If he makes it through the quiet and still wants you, that desire is genuine. It means he confronted his fears, battled his ego, and still chose connection. A man's silence doesn't mean he forgot you. It means he is trying to understand how deeply he feels you. Silence is not absence. Silence is the sound of his emotions maturing. Signal number 6, the emotional shift that happens. When he realizes you haven't chased him, there comes a quiet turning point in every dynamic between a man and a woman. A moment that often goes unnoticed from the outside, but creates a profound emotional shift within him. It happens when he secretly misses you, yet realizes you haven't chased him, questioned him, begged for clarity, or tried to force connection. This moment hits him harder than most women realize. It begins reshaping the entire way he perceives you, the dynamic, and himself. Men expect women to reach out when there's emotional tension. They expect reassurance. They expect communication. They expect women to be the ones who bridge the distance. Not because men think women should do all the emotional work, but because men subconsciously rely on women to initiate emotional repair. It's a pattern built through experience. Women communicate, men retreat. Women reach out, men respond. Women express, men process silently. So when a man misses you and you do not chase him, something inside him jolts awake. At first, he feels surprise. He thought you would be the one to break the silence, the one to check in, the one to show softness. The fact that you didn't creates a disruption in his expectations. This surprise turns into curiosity. He starts wondering why you haven't reached out, whether you're moving on, whether his absence didn't affect you, and whether he misjudged your level of interest. This curiosity can grow rapidly because missing you makes him emotionally sensitive to any shift in your behavior. Then comes the emotional discomfort. Your non-chasing creates space he wasn't prepared for. Men often use a woman's pursuit as emotional reassurance. If you don't chase, he no longer has the comfort of believing you're waiting in the emotional background. He loses the safety net of your predictability. And this discomfort is what forces him to evaluate the connection more seriously. Slowly, admiration begins to grow. He respects the woman who doesn't lose composure. He respects the woman who doesn't beg for attention. He respects the woman who allows space rather than clings to him. Your emotional discipline becomes a mirror for his own uncertainty. He sees strength in your stability. He sees value in your self-respect. And he begins recognizing that if he wants connection, he must participate in it, not rely on you to do all the work. But the most powerful shift happens deep within his ego. Men are driven by pursuit. When you don't chase, you awaken that instinct. You stop feeding his comfort and start feeding his curiosity, his desire, and his longing. He starts thinking differently. Why isn't she reaching out? Did I do something wrong? Is she losing interest in me? Do I need to step up? These thoughts challenge his emotional passivity and move him into emotional engagement. This shift doesn't just change how he sees you, it changes how he shows up. He becomes more introspective, more intentional, and more aware of how much the connection means to him. Your silence becomes the catalyst that transforms his longing into responsibility. Because when a man misses you and you don't chase him, he realizes something he cannot ignore. If he wants you, he must act like it. In short, when a man secretly misses you, he won't say it, he won't declare it, and he won't expose his feelings easily. But throughout this journey, you've seen that his silence, his small behaviors, his subtle reappearances, and his emotional shifts reveal more than any confession ever could. While women often express longing through words, men express it through presence, attention, and emotional hesitation. His quiet energy becomes the doorway into understanding a heart he doesn't yet know how to articulate. His return of attention showed you the first whisper of his longing. Even without speaking, even without reaching out, he began gravitating back toward your world, watching you more closely, connecting with you indirectly, and letting his focus drift toward you again. This is how men try to feel close, without exposing the depth of their desire. It is the safest way they know to reconnect when vulnerability feels dangerous. Then, his quiet attempts to be near you, his presence in conversations, his appearance in shared spaces, his increased availability, revealed that missing you was no longer just an internal feeling. It became a behavioral shift. He wanted proximity, even if he pretended it was accidental. Men show their longing with steps, not speeches. Every time he positioned himself near you, he was telling you, "Part of me is still attached." As his emotions grew stronger, he began reopening emotional doors with subtle vulnerability. He tested your reactions with small questions, thoughtful comments, and gentle attempts at connection. These were not random. They were his way of saying, "I still care," without saying anything at all. Men reveal their emotional truth in small doses, hoping you'll notice the shift without forcing them into emotional exposure. And when he fell silent, it wasn't disinterest. It was the silent storm inside his mind. Men feel deeply in silence. They analyze, they fear, they desire, they hesitate. Silence is where he confronts the truth he hides behind strength. Missing you affects him more than he ever intended it to. But the most powerful moment came when he realized you were not chasing. That single shift triggered emotional clarity, admiration, and awareness. Your self-respect awakened his desire to step forward, not from ego, but from sincerity. Your calmness showed him you were not dependent on him. You were choosing him. And that changed everything. By the time his resistance broke, his true feelings were no longer something he could hide. He understood the value of what he was losing. He recognized the comfort your presence brought. He realized the connection mattered more than his pride. And for the first time, he was ready to move toward you with openness instead of fear. His silent signals were never small. They were the story of his heart in motion, hesitant, scared, hopeful, and deeply human. Now you know how to read them, and with that knowledge, you'll never misinterpret a man's quiet longing again.